Hi everyone. So, delving even deeper into all the Welsh folklore and mythology, just like the last episode. And it'll come as no surprise that when you look at Wales, you look at folklore and legends of Wales, you won't have to look far before you come across endless tales of the Tylwyth Teg or the fair folk of Wales. Now, many cultures all around the world all have their own versions of different fairy tales and stories of the fairies in general. And of course, in Wales, it was no different. All of these stories, it seems, when you consider them in Wales, they all seem to follow a similar pattern, with the fair folk either punishing you for bad behaviour or rewarding you for good behaviour. And that was the case in the story of Old Gwilym.
Old Gwilym Evans started off one fine morning to walk across the Eagle Hills to a distant town, bent upon buying some cheese. On his way, in a lonely part of the hills, he found a golden guinea, which he quickly put into his pocket. When he got to the town, instead of buying his provisions, he went into an alehouse and sat drinking and singing with some sweet-voiced quarrymen until dark, when he thought it was time to go home. Whilst he was drinking, an old woman with a basket came in and sat beside him, but she left before him. After the parting glass, he got up and reeled through the town, quite forgetting to buy his cheese. And as he got amongst the hills, they seemed to dance up and down before him, and he seemed to be walking on air. When he got near the lonely spot where he had found the money, he heard some sweet music, and a number of fairies crossed his path and began dancing all around him. And then, as he looked up, he saw some brightly lit houses before him on the hill. He scratched his head, for he never remembered having seen houses thereabouts before. As he was thinking and watching the fairies, one came down and begged him to come into the house and sit down. So he followed her in and found the house was all gold inside and brightly lit. The fairies were dancing and singing, and they brought him anything he wanted for supper, and then they put him to bed. Gwilym slept heavily, and when he awoke he turned around and felt very cold. His body seemed to be covered with prickles. So he sat up, rubbed his eyes, and found that he was quite naked and lying in a bunch of gorse. When he found himself in this plight, he hurried home and told his wife, and she was very angry with him for spending all the money and bringing no cheese home. He told her of all his adventures. "Oh, you bad man," she said, "the fairies gave you money and you spent it wrongly, so they were sure to take their revenge."
So, ends quite abruptly, I found that one, but the message is clear there. Old Gwilym didn't use his money wisely, and he found himself wanting. And again, the message is quite clear. As I say, it just shows if you do come into a little fortune, if you do come into some extra bit of money, to use it wisely, use it for the best means for your situation at the time. Gwilym didn't do this, and he was punished for it. And there are similar stories, but are quite contrasting as well, as I touched on. If you do behave well, if you are a good person, and then the fair folk will actually reward you. Such was the case in the story of the Craggadon blacksmith.
Once upon a time, an old blacksmith lived in an old forge at Craggadon, and he used to drink a great deal too much beer. One night he was coming home from an alehouse very tipsy, and as he got near a small stream, a lot of little men sprang up from the rocks, and one of them, who seemed to be older than the rest, came up to him and said, "If you don't alter your ways of living, you'll die soon. But if you behave better and become a better man, you will find it will be to your benefit." They then disappeared as quickly as they had come. The old blacksmith thought a great deal about what the fairies had told him, and he left off the drinking. He would become a sober and steady man. One day, a few months after meeting the little people, a strange man brought a horse to be shoed. Nobody knew either the horse or the man. The old blacksmith tied the horse to a hole in the lip of a cauldron that he had built. When he had tied the horse up, he went to shoo off the hind leg, but directly he touched the horse, and the spirited animal bolted back with a bound, dragging the cauldron from the masonry. The horse and the man were never seen again. When the old blacksmith came to pull down the masonry to rebuild it, he found 3 brass kettles full of money.
So another great story there. I really enjoyed looking into that one. And again, the message is quite clear. Try to live a good life. Try to be a good person. And more often than not, hopefully things will work out for you. And there will be countless more stories just like this of the fair folk, the Tylwyth Teg in Wales, either punishing or rewarding their various different kinds of behaviour. But I hope you've enjoyed these 2 today, and please remember to like and share these videos. Really enjoying delving into the folklore and the history, and hopefully looking to bring you more and more content just like this, guys. So thank you for listening, and I will see you all next time.